Well, hello, everyone. I finally got here. Do we have everyone we need? I see Lauren.
Yes. No idea who is Zoom to.
Do we know who Lauren's opponent's going to be?
I have no idea. Let's see.
Is Vanessa Guo, and I am Zoom too.
Nice to meet you,
I've seen you before. Well, my laptop has recently updated, and it didn't want to let me sign out of my one email and into the Capital one. And it didn't matter all day because I was getting everything on my phone.
So it looks like we're missing Olivia Sailors, our third judge, and we're also missing Vanessa.
Oh, great. I thought it took me forever. Legal Vanessa.
Just so you guys know, Debbie,
yes,
Luca, we are currently live on YouTube, so we have people watching us already. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So are we still waiting for Vanessa?
Could be. Vanessa and I just got out of the semifinals round.
Okay. Well, we have all three judges and we have Lauren. So when Vanessa gets here, we'll be ready to go. This should be a good round.
Now we've got Vanessa.
Right. Okay, so we have two debaters and three judges. Can we get cameras on, please? Hello, Lauren. Hello, Vanessa. Congratulations on finals. And it looks to me like we have Vanessa on the pro and Lauren on the con. And unless you have any reason to delay, I think we're ready to start. So Vanessa. You're still muted, Vanessa.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, you sound great. 4-minute opening speech.
Okay, is everybody ready? Then my time will begin. Sorry, my time will begin now. Over the past 10 years, the United States patent system has been transformed by new legislation and regulatory actions addressing nearly every area of patent doctrine. These actually many disruptive legal changes have affected infringement remedies, licensing activities, and generally what type of inventions and discoveries are eligible for patent protection. In practice, inventors are supposed to disclose the information behind their inventions after the patent is given. However, this isn't always the case. For example, patent law actually permits an inventor to disclose the fictional finding that a drug treats cancer as evidence that she deserves a patent on that drug, resulting in a profound sense of uncertainty for most stakeholders. My name is Vanessa Guo, and I'm on the pro side of the resolution, and I strongly believe that patents do more harm than good. My first contention is that of patent abuse, which disproportionately affects lower class people. In the healthcare space specifically, the incentives that patents offer have resulted in extraordinary success stories, but these same exact incentives also result in a range of undesirable consequences, including excessive development of similar but not better products known as Me Too drugs, the focus on drugs for diseases that only affect wealthy people and wealthy countries, and a lack of innovation for types of medicines that may return fewer profits, such as antibiotics, which are still entirely necessary to keep the well-being of our people. This overall disproportionately affects lower class patients who naturally have less resources to access potentially life-saving treatments. However, because of potential monopolies and abuse of these patents, prices could be rise so high that they have no access to these at all. One example of this is a rheumatoid arthritis drug known as Humira, which is the best-selling prescription drug in the world with over $12 billion being made in US sales per year. The main US patent for Humira actually expired back in 2016, but the company that creates this product has actually obtained more than 100 additional US patents, which extends the shelf life for this product into the 2020s and 2030s. The company that creates this actually cited these newer patents, which cover things like manufacturing processes and many other aspects to the drug, in lawsuits to actually block 2 other biosimilar versions that could have been approved in the United States. These other companies stated that this use of patents has actually deterred them from bringing cheaper products that could do the same exact thing and treat this disease to market more quickly. So in order to break this perpetual monopoly, companies would have to engage in extremely time-intensive and expensive patent litigation, which might not always be effective. My second contention is that patents decrease innovation, which has an extreme economic impact. Innovation, by definition, is the introduction of something new. Without innovation, however, there can be no progress. Innovation is responsible for resolving collective problems in a sustainable and efficient way, usually with new technology. According to a Stanford study, innovation has actually been responsible for 85% of all economic growth due to the increased productivity that technological development provides. However, Michael Muir at Boston University and many other legal experts suggest that the problem boils down to simple issues in the patent system itself, which actually decrease innovation in the long run. For example, one of these is that patent examination is very slow, often taking 3 years or more. Despite this, examiners actually only spend on average about 20 hours reviewing each application, which leads to issues like very broad patents, which leads to a lot of cases of patent infringement that were entirely unintentional that can actually have severe economic impacts on the people that cannot afford to pay those fees. Failure to license relevant patents also creates a risk of litigation and the threat the new technology could be forced out of the marketplace. Therefore, Apple uses this patent to opportunistically hinder innovation by its rivals. In one case, Apple sued Samsung using a patent that claimed the slide to unlock feature on a phone as Apple's invention, despite strong evidence that inventors before Apple had already accomplished the key steps to implement this feature. Apple convinced the courts that their version of this feature was more patentable, and Samsung had to agree to pay license fees. Overall, we see that more benefits are offset by the many patents that are owned by others that could be asserted against the new technology. For these reasons of patent monopolies and decreased innovation, I strongly urge a pro ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. We're ready for cross-examination now.
Is everyone ready? Would inventors who create inventions be able to gain as much money without patents?
So, sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Okay, so one of your arguments was that companies can like charge more for products, correct?
Right, because of their monopoly.
Yeah, that also means they gain more money as well, correct?
Correct, which is exactly why this is an issue.
So if companies are gaining money from their inventions, would this make it easier for them to fund for further research and development?
That is a possibility, but then once again, you're only having that single company that's doing this. So you don't really have an option for other people. Who knows if they might make the price for another treatment just as high.
So you're agreeing that companies can fund for further research and development?
That is a possibility, but I've stated another potential consequence of that as well.
What happens when these inventions aren't created in the first place?
Sorry, could you repeat the last part of that question?
Sure. What happens when life-saving inventions and medicines aren't created in the first place?
Well, I mean, obviously we would lose millions of lives, but at the same time, what we see right now with only maybe one product being put out into the market, millions of lives are still being lost because lower class patients aren't able to access it and they can't afford it.
Would
because
you
of that.
argue that having medicines and saving lives is better than no one having it?
I think that impact is applicable to both sides here. So I do agree that obviously lives are most important.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone's
Thank you. Are you ready to present your case now?
yes.
All right.
Everyone's ready. According to the Australian government, the Children's Cancer Institute for Australia Medical Research states that the patent system is a cornerstone in driving innovation by enabling researchers to have protection of their intellectual property and the possibility of capitalizing on their inventions. It has been and will continue to be an essential component of the innovation process that drives research. I affirm the resolution that patents do more good than harm, since they protect intellectual property rights, encourage innovation development, and promote human progress. My first contention is that patents protect intellectual property rights. Intellectual property means that the person who creates something owns it. And as U Chicago puts it, intellectual property is still property, and that deserves to be protected. Patents make sure that no one else can copy an inventor's work for a certain amount of time by discouraging theft of ideas and creating consequences for the thieves. With this protection from patents, inventors are more encouraged to create more things and can make money easily, which they can use for further research and development. According to the US Chamber of Commerce, America's intellectual property worth is approximately 6.6 trillion United States dollars, more than the GDP of any other country in the world. With patents, investors are treated ethically with their rights respected, but without patents, we live in a society where injustice is encouraged by allowing people to abuse these property rights. With patents, we can increase the incentives for individuals to continue to produce things that will further create new opportunities and job opportunities and new technologies. My second contention is that patents encourage innovation development. According to the European Central Bank, innovation helps the economy to flow and businesses to grow, and without it, the economy would not be able to function as it should. Without a patent system, any competitor could simply wait for a new drug to appear on the market and then quickly reverse engineer it and undercut the inventor's prices. New drugs take 10 to 12 years to develop and have high research and development costs, but with patents, we could cut down on the time and cost that companies need to do this. According to Penn State, an analysis of 544 European firms from 1995 to 2000 indicates a positive relationship between technological diversity and innovation. It shows that small firms are more research and development intensive and illustrate the importance of the persistence of patent activity to promote innovation. Since intellectual property rights incentivize new creation, losing patents would only disincentivize creators from innovating and improving lives. Additionally, the economic stimulus from these businesses can solve more problems in the world, meaning that companies and researchers can fund for expensive cures for illnesses that are otherwise too risky. This means that drugs will become more available, affordable, and a commonplace over time, and lives will be saved just because of patents. My third and final contention is that patents promote human progress. Patents encourage technological development, and it raises society's overall technological progress. This is because it rewards those who are willing to risk investing in major research, and as a result, society benefits. This is because it encourages competitors to develop new technology and to build off of already existing patented technologies. According to Northwestern, by analyzing over 1,500 patents whose validity had been determined by US courts, valid patents have been observed to give rise to more future-related inventions during their lifetimes than invalid patents. Patents prompt information sharing, and that means that innovators can borrow good patent ideas. This leads to new products, medicines, and processes to make life easier, simpler, and more efficient. This also means that there's new jobs to feed and house more people, and that we can actually make a difference and save lives. In conclusion, Judge, it is clear that patents do more good than harm because they protect intellectual property rights, encourage innovation development, and promote human progress. Thank you, and I urge you to vote for patents.
Is everybody ready for cross-examination? Okay. 2 minutes begins now. For your second contention, when you state that patents help cut down on the cost of certain drugs, can you explain how exactly that happens?
Well, I'm arguing that patents will be able to have more innovation because of like the patent laws, and then because your rights are protected, then
Can you explain the direct link between patents and innovation? Like, how exactly does that happen, and how can you guarantee that that will happen?
Well, with patents, your inventions, when they get patented, or other people's inventions when they get patented, are introduced to the market, meaning that people can find out about these patented inventions and build off of it. And it also provides more competition in the market for people to be able to innovate more and develop more things.
But if we have maybe multiple companies that are producing a very similar product that may have not been allowed if patents were in place, if these companies are putting that product out into the market, doesn't that mean that there would still be competition because they're constantly fighting to like maybe appeal to the consumers more by dropping prices?
I'm sorry, could you restate?
Sorry, I don't think that made a lot of sense. So when you say that there would be issues with competition, right?
Correct.
The patents, don't you think that there would still be competition if there weren't patents and multiple companies were just marketing the same or very similar product to people?
Well, what I'm arguing is that with patents, it would actually encourage people to be able to find their own new ideas. And at the same time, it's also protecting other people's previously patented ideas, especially helping smaller companies so that the larger companies don't hold over and like keep on producing and maintain that monopoly over people.
Okay. When you say that companies may sometimes also use the money that they earn to create new things, do you have any evidence of that actually happening and being very effective?
Well, in my speech, there was a Penn State analysis that I cited that indicates that there was 544 European firms from 1995 to 2000 that indicate a positive relationship between technological diversity and innovation. And it illustrated the importance of patent activity to promote innovation within that study.
Okay, that's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa, do you need prep time?
Yes, please. I'll take 1 minute.
Thirty seconds used. That's 1 minute.
Okay. Is everybody ready? 3 minutes starts now. Judges, in this speech, I'll be going over each of my opponent's contentions and explaining why they no longer stand. My opponent's first contention was that patents protect intellectual property rights, which lead to a profit, basically for our economy, which means that it does more good than harm. However, while yes, the idea behind patents is that they protect our natural rights, and that really is a valid and a good idea, this isn't actually what happens in reality, and we can't see this application actually being effective due to many examples that we see in the world today. One example of this, of intellectual property actually not being protected because of patents, is the example of the invention of the telephone. Who we know as the inventor of the telephone today is Alexander Graham Bell, obviously, but the actual inventor of this original idea was a man named Antonio Meucci. However, because this man was not able to afford the price of applying for a patent and getting that thing to protect his idea, he wasn't able to do it, and therefore the credit for his invention went to somebody else. So we can see here that what is his right, his creation, actually was not protected by the patent system because of the tremendously costly and time-consuming process that it takes, which is a huge flaw that we see can actually decrease innovation in the long run, therefore disproving my opponent's first point in protecting intellectual property. My opponent's second contention was that patents encourage economic development and therefore leads to more innovation. And I think that this can be linked to her third contention about encouraging progress in the long term, which also includes different aspects of innovation as well. Patents won't actually increase innovation. In fact, they'll decrease it because overall, with the low success rate of actually getting a patent, which hovers around 30% to 40%, we see less investment in small and medium-sized companies because they don't believe that their product will actually be beneficial, and it won't actually earn a lot of profit in the long run. So therefore, if we see that there's less investment, this means that there is also less reason to invent, because even if someone creates a product and they get a patent for it, they may not necessarily earn enough money because they're not earning that funding. Which again refutes my opponent's point about patents providing money for the economy and having that economic benefit. There's also a point about how, the point can also be made about patent infringement and patent trolls that we see today. Again, this adds on to the point that of flaws in the patent system that we see. And this can be used to refute my opponent's point about, again, promoting innovation. If we see that, for example, if we see, for example, how 80% of challenged claims for patent infringement are actually invalidated, this could be something that is extremely discouraging for an inventor that went through that whole process to get that patent for their invention. So this being applied to millions of people that are trying to get their inventions out there means that they might not want to further that technological development, and our society will suffer as a result. For these reasons, I strongly urge a pro ballot. Thank you.
May I take 30 seconds of prep?
I was just about to ask you, yes. Starting now. That's 30 seconds.
Is everyone ready? My opponent first stated that people can abuse patents and this can be bad for the economy, I guess. According to Northwestern, patents increase the efficiency of transactions and intensify competition within the market for inventions. The patent system offers a sophisticated property rights framework that combines exclusion with other mechanisms that facilitate exchanges. Additionally, according to the Australian government, processing a patent may actually help a company to grow by capitalizing on the potential of its inventors. My opponent kept on arguing how it is against the lower class. However, these patents are actually helping smaller companies be able to gain more money because the patent fees and things surrounding the patent's nature will help smaller companies be able to attract financial banking. And the profits generated by the patent usage can be further invested in research and development, stimulating more commercial and industrial growth. Patents also benefit these companies for providing a system for trading knowledge internationally through license agreements. My opponent last Secondly, and lastly, stated that patents discourage innovation. However, the rules for the PTO clearly state that a patent must be based on a new, non-obvious, useful invention or the improvement of such an invention. According to the Australian government, patents promote knowledge sharing by requiring the details of patented inventions to be placed in the public domain in return for the exclusive right to use the invention. By encouraging this knowledge sharing, patents reduce the duplication of research and effort, encouraging researchers to build on existing inventions. According to Penn State, an analysis of 544 European firms between 1995 and 2000 indicates a positive relationship between technological diversity and innovation, and additionally illustrates an importance of the persistence of patent activity to promote more innovation. With patents, inventors' research that may have not have occurred is now being occurred, and inventors can be able to gain back money for more research in the future. Due to the cumulative nature of research, knowledge sharing is important and ultimately encourages more innovation, which is the opposite of what my opponent states. Additionally, according to the Australian government, the Department of Human Services acknowledged that the patent system has served them well and is essential to foster and encourage continuous innovation and research, which will lead to further enhancements in human health and medicines. Patents lead to innovation in medical research that produce new diagnostic tests and treatments, improving community health overall. One example of a study of this is by Northwestern. By analyzing over 1,500 patents whose validity has been determined by US courts, the valid patents have observed to give more rise to future-related inventions in their lifetimes than invalid patents. This goes to show the importance of patents in promoting more innovation and progress. Without the patent system, though, these important medications and inventions that save lives wouldn't even exist. So that means that people will die. My opponent argues that people will die from medicine being too expensive or not applicable or not accessible, but if there's no inventions at all, then everyone will die. Thank you, Judge, and I urge you to vote for the con ballot.
Do you need some more prep before the next speech?
Yes, I'll take the remaining minute.
All right, how much did you use the first time? Used a minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry now. Has 30 seconds used? And that's time.
Okay. Is everybody ready? 2 minutes begins now. Judge, throughout this debate, the driving point behind my opponent's contentions are that if there are no inventions, that people could die and we could see tremendous negative impacts on our society because there would be no patents in place. However, because this is the driving point behind all of her contentions about innovation, technological development, and this is something that's protected by supposed IP laws, I can further disprove this and prove why my contentions outweigh this single point, because my contentions of patent abuse and discouraging innovation still stand. Not only is my opponent's not only is this point that my opponent has made not entirely true, because we do see that, because we would inevitably see that there are still creative minds out there that are creating these products and further in technological developments, even if they could not make a profit out of it, because some people are simply just like that and they would like to further society through their inventions. We also see that my point about monopolies and also my point about discouraging innovation would make this point invalid. I believe that the pro side wins the monopoly argument because I have proven how exactly specific examples of companies in the real world today take advantage of these patents and prevent people from being able to access these potentially life-saving treatments. My opponent has said multiple times that this is completely okay because even though on both sides we see the impact of lives, The money that these companies earn could actually be used to further technological development. However, according to business expert Stephen King, he states that 97% of all patents actually never make any money. So if this is something that's true and has been proven by experts, how come my opponent's reputation against this point stand true? For that reason, this claim still stands, and we see that there could be a huge, massive impact on lower income people. If lower income people are ignored by the patent system, this could widen the wealth gap, therefore destabling the economy and our society. Overall, I strongly believe that you should vote for the pro side because of these reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to use the end of your prep time, Lauren?
Yes, please.
All right, starting now. Oh, so that's 1 minute used. You have 30 seconds remaining. And that's time.
Is everyone ready? Judge, let me tell you why I won this case. In my case, I brought up three reasons as to why patents do more good than harm. Those reasons are that patents protect intellectual property rights, promote innovation development, and promote human progress. Firstly, protecting intellectual property would discourage theft and reward inventors. With patents, no one else can copy an inventor's work for a certain amount of time, thus increasing the incentives for individuals to continue to produce things that further create job opportunities and new technologies. My opponent tried to refute this by saying that it doesn't really protect intellectual property, and that, however, it really does. There has been evidence of it protecting intellectual property, and it not only protects inventors' rights, but also the Americans' intellectual property worth approximately 6.6 trillion United States dollars, more than the GDP of any other country in the world. So it also helps the economy as well. My opponent also argued that it targets lower classes, and however, protecting intellectual property is helping smaller companies be able to gain more money and reach out to other people. And Judge, it all comes down to the argument about progress and innovation. My opponent and I both agree that innovation is good for society. However, patents are the ones that are encouraging innovation. They promote innovation development, and this would help the economy to flow and businesses to grow. Due to patents, our society can gain more inventions and we can save more lives. With evidence of this, an analysis from Penn State of 544 European firms indicates a positive relationship between them and illustrates the positive effects of patent activity for promoting innovation. Additionally, for the progress case, according to Northwestern, 15,000 patents whose validity have been determined by US courts, the valid patents are observed to give rise to more future inventions than the invalid patents. This only goes to show that my opponent's claims are false and that patents really do promote innovation. In conclusion, Judge, you should vote for patents where we can help humanity progress forward and protect intellectual property and promote innovation in the future that can save lives with medicines and new technologies. And so, Judge, I urge you to vote for patents and for the safety of our future and future citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that awesome debate. Judges, if you would submit your ballots on tab room. we'll get those ballots in, we'll announce the decision, and then you will have a chance to make some comments to the debaters.
Are you going to are you going to make the announcement or do you want me to?
I'll go ahead and make the announcement. We do have the decision. The decision is a 2-1 decision for the con. Congratulations. Well done, both of you. That was an excellent debate, ladies. Well done. That was a truly tough decision, I'm sure, for the judges. Excellent debating by both sides. So I'm going to turn it over to the judges so they have a chance to give you some of their comments and thoughts on the debate.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and go first because I was the judge that voted different. And I'm glad that I did because around this close deserved to be a split decision. And I did vote for the for Vanessa. I thought it was a really close round. I felt like it was really well balanced, that you all did everything right. You had good research. You had well constructed speeches. You signposted and delivered very well. You were very thorough in your refutation. Nothing wrong done by any of you or either of you. In the end, I voted on impacts from one particular part of my flow because I felt like it was kind of even all the way through. But Vanessa had made a point about healthcare costs harming poor individuals. And I felt that impact outweighed the answer that Lauren offered of patents helping small businesses. That it was just basically, I voted for the life impact over the business or the economic impact. But I'm happy either way because this was a close round. You both did a really great job. So would the other judges like to weigh in now? Boca, you want to go next?
Yes, it's okay. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you, girls. Great honor to judge these finals. And as Debbie just said, it was really hard decision. And I would fully agree that the impact, the first argument delivered by Vanessa was so strong, and also the impacts that went throughout the whole debate that actually made me rethink the decision that I actually made at some point in refutation with the third argument that wasn't let's say, for my criteria, fully refuted by Vanessa, especially with the words like we've been hearing throughout the tournament about patent trolls. I think that that should have been explained at least through one sentence, so that the ones who haven't heard such arguments, like the audience, could learn more about that. And the other reason, that, let's say, the final reason why I've decided on Lauren is because she actually explained the innovation and growth argument on her side. And that is what actually Debbie also mentioned. There was business growth, and then inequality, social inequality, and people suffering. So I actually voted on the reasoning, let's put it that way, the reasoning part of the debate. But I would fully agree that that Vanessa impact was so strong that it even made me think about the reasoning criteria. Thank you very much, girls. Great job.
Olivia, you ready?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it seems like, I mean, evidently this debate was so close that we all had to look at really specific areas of our flow to determine how we were going to decide. And I think we were all looking at the same area of the flow. And the only thing that I could see as the debate was coming down, because I really had no idea for a while how I was going to vote, was that same area, looking at this idea of, inequality and access to prescription medications for lower income folks versus this small business impact. And at the end of the day, like, I didn't think I ended up voting for Lauren, but I felt like, Lauren, I felt like you missed the point a little bit of that, because I felt like what you kind of responded with saying, like, you know, how is it written? Yeah, I felt like the point there was mostly like at the consumer level, and I felt like you were still talking at the business level. And so I felt like you missed the point of that argument a little bit, and that alone almost made me wanted to vote for Vanessa, because I felt as if that almost went completely unaddressed. But then once I looked at how much you had fleshed out this innovation impact, I kind of thought that eventually this innovation impact might end up outweighing this inequality argument, not in terms of like from a moral component, but more just in terms of magnitude, thinking about how many people could benefit from the type of innovation that you're referring to. And you did so much analysis on that flow. Like, I couldn't let you not have that one in that sense. So ultimately, once I was kind of weighing those two things and those two impacts that were both significant in terms of, for sure, morality and ethics, this innovation argument, I felt like, had a greater probability of actually occurring because of the amount of work that you did on that flow. And Vanessa, I felt like you needed to flesh that out a little bit more. I felt like I needed a little bit more of an impact calculus, of a little bit more of some magnitude and probability of this occurring, that I did feel like the con provided me. And so with that being said, I voted con, but I mean, it was super, super nitpicky at the end because this was such a close round. So really could have gone either way.
Thank you, judges, and congratulations again to both Lauren and Vanessa for being in the finals of our quarter 2 tournament. This is the end of the day for us on the tournament. Great job. Congratulations again. Thank you, judges, and thank you, coaches.